Thanks so much for listening to No Lions Here with me, Big Panda. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to No Lions Here. My name is Big Panda, and I'm a recovering sex addict. Before we jump into the show today, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor for the show, for the episode, Begin Again Institute out in Boulder, Colorado. They're doing amazing work out there. They're a big part of my recovery, helped get my recovery, off the ground. And it was the running start that I needed to recovery from sexual addiction. Definitely go check them out. Their description will be their information will be in the description below. So definitely go check them out. If you or anyone you know is suffering from sex or porn addiction, definitely go and check them out. Love what they're doing out there and grateful to be connected to them. Really grateful for that. Jumping into today's episode, man. Good to be back on the pod. Let's see here. It's almost like I was talking to somebody on the way in today, and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't know." Kind of figuring out where do I want to start. Where does the life update want to start? Where do we begin? And kind of see where things go from there. So I did just get finished doing a 72-hour water fast. I did that with Ricky. You all, if you're familiar with the show, you know my good friend, my brother in recovery, my coworker Ricky. It's something we've been talking about for a little bit. We've been talking about wanting to do this water fast. He's getting ready to go on vacation, so he wanted to kind of kickstart some things. I said, you know what? I've noticed. So if you've been with me on this journey, there's a part in time in my recovery where I got really serious about my health, wanted to lose some weight. I think when I entered into recovery, I was 260. I really wanted to lose some weight, and I wanted to do it in a sustainable kind of way, not just hey, let me stop eating for the unhealthy reasons. Let me actually try to do this in the right way. And so throughout that process, it took me about a year and a half, and I lost about 50 pounds. I got down to about 210. And so that felt really good. I felt really, really proud of myself. I liked the way that I felt. I've always struggled with body issues and being, not comfortable in my own skin or the way that I looked. And so I lost a bunch of weight, and it was very sustainable. I was doing a really good job just watching what I eat and eating less, not necessarily changing what I was eating, but eating less. And then exercise. That's a big part of my my program in my life. So I, as you all know, I got into a relationship about a year ago, and what happens in relationships is you kind of get comfortable. You kind of get happy, and things change, right? Routines change. I don't just have all this time in the world to myself. Gotta balance the time with her and work, and changing careers. And so it definitely added, I definitely started to kind of put some of that weight back on. And so I've been kind of feeling in this uncomfortable place with my body recently. Probably over the last couple months, I've really been kind of noticing it again, just not really having the time, or what I perceive as not having the time to do what I needed to do. So I've been really thinking about okay, what can I do? Now, by no means was this 3-day fast okay, now I'm good. I lost a bunch of weight in the 3-day fast. Nope. But what I'm using it for is to hopefully try to kickstart kind of back into that a little that healthier lifestyle of eating, and be a little bit more routine with my exercise. Getting out, running, walking, all that kind of stuff. And so I've bumped up against some challenges with that. Like my treadmill broke recently. That's what I've used, throughout that weight loss journey, was the treadmill. Well, now the treadmill's broken. It's no longer in service. So I know I don't have a treadmill right now, which made it really convenient to get my steps in. I'm really big on getting 10,000 steps a day. So that made it really easy, because no matter what whatever the weather was, I could jump on the treadmill. I also really like the treadmill because it had a little TV, so I could just turn on some mindless TV. It's funny, I'm so very compartmentalized in my life in these areas of when I'm on the treadmill, I have my treadmill shows. I won't watch my treadmill shows in bed at night. I won't do it. And then I'll put stuff, I'll stash stuff. It gives me an opportunity to kind of stash things away because I'm an addict. So I like to stash. And so today, my stashes look a little different than they did before, whereas in the past, right? The stashes would be, old acting out partners, other dealers, and so I don't have those things in my stash. So like I'm still able to kind of stash things because I like to have a stash of things for sure. So I'm hoping that this 3-day fast kind of can help kickstart kind of some new ways of going about things. And I'll be honest, like that first day, the first 24 hours really wasn't too bad, but it really wasn't too bad. I mean, I was hungry. However, like if anybody knows anything about, if you've ever gone through a journey of like losing weight, you definitely get to a spot where like you're hungry and you kind of just learn to kind of like deal with the hunger a little bit. And, it's interesting though, because, in the program, right? So recovery talking, it's like one of the first tools that you kind of learn about in recovery is HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, right? The four basic human needs. So so here I am just kind of taking the H out of the equation because I am, and hunger's not typically a big trigger for me. More the lonely and the tired is more of kind of like what really gets me going. Hunger, I can now if I go now into this story over this 3-day fast, we'll get into how it did actually affect me. But if you're losing weight, you kind of get to a spot where like you kind of have to just like embrace the hunger a little bit and just kind of be okay with being hungry. So the first 24 hours really wasn't too bad. I even went and played hockey. I played 2 hours of hockey. So today's Thursday. So we started the fast Sunday night at 8:45 was my last meal. PM. So when it ended last night at 8:45. So Monday night, first 24 hours really wasn't too bad. Again, I was hungry. Now we could drink coffee with this, coffee, water, Gatorade Zero. So doing those things, taking my supplements, first 24 hours. And then I played hockey, which really wasn't too bad. It was okay. Day 2, though, waking up that Tuesday morning, terrible headache. And what was cool about having Ricky to do this with was like we had an accountability partner, right? Like we were checking in with each other throughout the day of like, man, I want to eat. And he's so funny, man. He was making me like cayenne pepper water, which was, he put way too much cayenne pepper in it and it was spicy. And, but it was really cool to have, an accountability partner there, some rooting you along, pushing you along, knowing that like, hey, they're in the exact same spot that you are, it's kind of like recovery, it's nice to know that I'm not alone. The things that I'm dealing with are so uncomfortable, right? So uncomfortable not eating purposely, right? Like I'm purposely choosing not to eat and I'm around food all day, kind of like our programs, right? We're around, especially with me being, having sexual addiction, right? Sex is everywhere in this world. And it brings me comfort to know that I'm not alone in dealing with, if I'm put in an uncomfortable spot, that I'm not alone in that. So I woke up Tuesday morning, terrible headache, like one of the worst headaches I've had in a long, long time. And it was just absolutely horrible. And now Ricky's done this before. He's done this. I have not. This is my first experience with it. And so Ricky had done this before. So that was really nice. Again, back to kind of the parallels around recovery is like, link yourself up with people that have done these things before, that have gone before you and have done these things before. And, they'll guide you through these, right? Because they know what's coming. So I called Ricky that Tuesday morning. I was like, dude, I got a terrible headache. I feel like crap. I said, is this part of it? He said, oh, yeah, man, this is part of it. I said, okay. All right. I'm okay with that. All right, then. Good to hear, right? Again, hey, man, yep, this is part of the process. We hear that a lot in recovery, right? It's like, hey, man, you're going through the process. This is the process. Yep. You're right on course. This is part of the process. Keep going. So Tuesday was okay. Again, just dealing with that hunger. I found that I started to get more grumpy on Tuesday. I guess definitely was getting grumpy on Tuesday. I could really feel it, especially towards, some of the people that I'm closer with here at work. I wouldn't say that I was like a straight up dick, but I was definitely grumpy, maybe a little sassy. I'm trying to think. I don't think that any major amends need to be made. But yeah, Tuesday was rough. Tuesday was really rough, really hungry. Again, it's it's a definitely because here at work, because I was working during those 3 days. So here at work, we've got the cafeteria, right? 3 square meals served here a day, super easy to just walk in and just get something out to eat out of the cafeteria, which I do all the time. And so here I'm not, I'm almost avoiding the cafeteria like it's the plague. Like I don't want to see, I don't want to smell and it just so happened that, one of the days, Tuesday, I was like Doritos nachos. Doritos nachos and then like the Alfredo at night. Oh my God. It was like, man, y'all would do this to me when we're going through this. And so Tuesday was like okay. And then mix in there was Beanie and we've been kind of like going through it a little bit. We're kind of in this patch right now. We're doing all right, like kind of working through it and having conversations, but it definitely kind of got a little scary there. And this was before the fast. But yeah, definitely it got a little scary there. There was definitely some loneliness on both ends, some misunderstandings on kind of both ends, right? And it's almost like, man, we're just at one point in time, the best way for me to kind of describe this without going too much into this, because her and I still need to, her and I still kind of need to repair and clean up some things. So I don't necessarily want to talk about it too much in depth here. Essentially it came down to like, both of us kind of like coming to a stalemate as far as like both kind of carrying our own loads and not understanding or feeling heard from the other person. Like neither one of us really felt like we got our space or were being supported in the way that we felt like we needed to be supported. Now, her and I have been we've been talking about it, we've been working through it. And some of this stuff is going to have to be taken care of in couples counseling, which that's why we're in couples counseling right now. I'm not ashamed or to say that, hey, yeah, we see a couples therapist. And it's, it was one of the things in my dating plan that I said, I want a partner that is open to couples counseling, and so we're a year into this thing, and don't get me wrong, everything's good. There haven't been any major issues. However, like still like I'm a big proponent of therapy, and like, hey, we don't necessarily need the wheels to be falling off to go to couples counseling. So let's go. And she was all for it. And so we found one that we liked. And so it's been a nice journey. So definitely things that like I need to add, and we're adding to the list of things that we need to take to the table with her. But I'll be honest, like with the hunger, right, with the in the middle of the fast, right, kind of dealing with some of these relationshipal things, I definitely wasn't showing up in the way that like I really needed to. My hunger was really affecting the way that I was showing up and the way that I was carrying the emotions, because it definitely, I remember there was Tuesday night and I went out for a walk, and I remember calling, Jeff and another one of my other best program friends in the program, and just being so like resentful and frustrated, with Beanie and the situation, and like it didn't feel good. I think that's like the first time. Excuse me. I think that's like the first time that I've really ever used the word resentful towards anything in our relationship. And now with where I'm sitting at now, right? Her and I have had some conversations, and I've gotten to eat. That's great. And I'll get into, I'll let y'all know what I ate. But I definitely, showing up was definitely a little tougher for me in those moments. And on top of that too, it was like, she's sharing like, hey, I'm asking for support and I feel unseen here. Okay. So she's got that piece, and then, I'm over here. I'm well aware that, sometimes in our relationships, I need to be the rock that she crashes on, because she's got a lot on her plate right now, going back to school, full-time mother, full-time job. She switched her daughter to public school, so that was causing a lot, and I don't want to get too much into like her side of things. But she's got a lot going on right now. She's got a lot going on, and I'm, I want to be that rock that she crashes on. However, there's times where like I need to crash too, and I don't want to be the rock. And I got some feelings that I'd like to bring up too and talk about, right? and just talk, just be seen and heard in, right? Like that we all want to be as human beings. We just want to be seen and heard in these things. And so it was really hard for me to show up for her in that way, feeling like I had some things that I needed to bring up because I wanted to be seen and heard. And so like it was really hard for me to show up, in that way for her, because I wanted to bring these things up to her. However, I knew that she was in a very, very, very vulnerable place. And so it's like trying to balancing that, like, okay, hey, I can be your rock, but hey, also too, hey, I need you to be my rock now. Because I need to be seen and heard. So, and again, after the last couple of days, we've been kind of working through it, and I'm gonna go see her this afternoon. So I'm really excited about that. Go see her, go love on her, and her and Tessa, her and her daughter. I almost said her daughter's name. Bleep that out. Take it out, producer. Oh, that's me. I'll do it. So definitely like the hunger. So as I was on this walk, and as I'm kind of like unloading to Jeff, like I'm realizing, right, I'm looking at Halt, right, and I'm hungry, I'm angry, I feel lonely, and I'm tired, right, because the sleep hasn't been great. So there was I had all four things going on, and right in the very first one, hunger, right, which I know that sometimes I do get hangry, and sometimes I do need to eat my feelings, and it's a good thing for me that I couldn't do it. Could not partake in that. So that was tough. It was really tough. So that was Tuesday, and so then Wednesday, I woke up and I felt terrible. I felt weak. Now this whole time too, so here at work, we've got nurses. We've got a great nursing staff, and with Beanie being a nurse, she's like, check your glucose levels, make sure your blood sugar doesn't drop too low. So I'm, every day I'm going to the nurse and I'm having them prick me and testing me, and I'm good, right? So I'm really thankful for that. That was really cool to have that. So I'm sorry. Where was I at? Oh, Wednesday morning, woke up. I felt like crap. Like I just felt like I was weak. I literally so I got up yesterday morning. This was yesterday morning, and I felt so weak. I felt tired. And it was more than just like I'm tired, right? I could tell that I haven't eaten anything in almost, 60 hours. I haven't eaten anything, and I am feeling it, because it wasn't just like, hey, I'm just really tired. That really tired feeling. This was like, oh my God, I'm feel like I'm unstable. I feel really weak. And I texted Ricky. I got up at like 5 and decided to come into work early. And I texted Ricky, and legit, this was at 5:30 in the morning. And again, right, like the importance of having connections with people that understand with what you're going through, right? It's a great parallel to recovery. And being able to text him, and I literally, like, where I was at 5:36 in the morning as I'm driving into work, I texted him. I said, dude, I don't know if I'm going to make it through today. I don't know. Right now, how many of us have ever felt like that? Let's let that just sink in, right? Like, how many of us have felt like, I'm not going to be able to make it through this day? I've been there a lot. I've been there more times than I can count, man. And then to be able to reach out to somebody that understands what I'm going through and saying, hey, I don't know if I'm going to make it through today. Oh, I'm sorry, my phone is just going off, and I need to focus it so that I can. My wrist is going off too. Man, so I texted Ricky at 5:36 in the morning, and legit, like, at this point in time, I thought that I was at the end of my rope, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And he called me. He's like, hey man, I'm up. And he was like, hey man, we're almost there. He's like, I'm so proud of you, man. We've almost made it. We're almost there. I'll be into work. Early too. So got into work, and was definitely just feeling it, unsure. I was like, man, this is going to affect my job today. This is going to affect what I need to do today. So I'm glad I came in early, because I got some time to kind of chill, got some electrolytes in me. got some coffee in me, some water. So I was like, okay, we've been drinking a lot of pickle juice. I love pickle juice. If you're doing a fast, I highly recommend, mixing in some pickle juice because it gives you some taste in there. And it feels like you're getting something. Plus, I think the sodium's good for you too. So Wednesday was just, and again, just everybody having food around you and, wanting to eat. Like yesterday, they had toasted raviolis. Now, if you're not from St. Louis, toasted raviolis is just essentially raviolis deep fried, and they are absolutely amazing. And they're so good. And so couldn't eat those at lunch yesterday. And so I was like, okay, I came into work early. I'm going to leave work early. I'm going to go home and I'm literally going to take a nap until I can eat. Not now. So Wednesday, I couldn't eat until 8:40ish at night last night. And then I had a hockey game at 9:40. So literally, like, here I am not eating for 3 days. I'm going to be able to eat an hour before I play hockey. Now, in part of this, in fasting, if you've ever fasted, now you would think that, okay, I'm done with my fast. McDonald's, cheeseburgers, chicken nuggets, like, let's go. However, that is actually not what you're supposed to do. And he was also like, hey, this is the nurse in me. Hey, you should probably look up like what you should do post fast, don't overdo it. So, and some of the other people I talked to, they're like, you don't gorge, don't, keep it light. So ChatGPT, shout out, definitely helped me kind of like, all right, keep things light. So I said, okay, all right, I'll keep things light. And so got home, made it through my day. The day ended up being okay. Actually, I got more energy as the day went on. And a whole part of the 3-day fast is like, there's so many benefits to it, is what they say, right? Your body goes into ketosis. You start burning, you start tapping into the fat reserves, you start burning fat. It's also a cleanse for the cells. Apparently it starts, kind of cleaning out some of the dead cells. Some of the cancerous cells that could cause cancer, it starts kind of eating those away. And so there's a lot of health benefits from even just doing a 72-hour water fast. Definitely can tell, definitely feel, I can definitely feel it in my weight. I lost a few pounds, but that wasn't necessarily the point of it, was to lose weight. There's kind of, I don't know what, I think it was just that kind of proved to myself that I could do something like that, because it was really hard. So Wednesday, got some more energy throughout the day, felt better, even though I'm just walking around. I'm constantly hungry. I'm starving. I want to eat. Again, I'm still being kind of grumpy. I did a good job of staying in a pretty up mood, but, definitely it's funny, because you see this a lot too, right? Like, people you're closest to is typically the ones that kind of get those sassy or grumpy. They get more of the grumpy side of me, and not because I think that they deserve it or anything like that. I think that the people that we're closest to, we feel more comfortable kind of showing these sides of us. And so I was definitely a little grumpy.
Hey guys, I just want to take a minute to share something deeply personal and transformative in my journey of recovery. I've been where you might be right now, struggling with the weight of addiction and feeling lost. But there's a place that offered me a new beginning, a place I truly believe in. It's called Begin Again Institute. At Begin Again, they understand the deep-rooted trauma behind addiction. Their 14-day intensive program for men tackles the neurobiological aspects of addiction head-on. It's not just about breaking a habit. It's about understanding and healing the underlying trauma that formed it in the first place. And for those who have been impacted by betrayal, Begin Again extends care to partners of addicts too. Their partner support program is offered at no additional cost to the family and runs alongside the men's intensive. This program helps participants gain an understanding of the trauma they've experienced and sets them on their own path to healing. If you or someone you love are grappling with sexual addiction, pornography addiction, or intimacy issues, Begin Again Institute can be that pivotal step towards recovery and a new lease on life. Remember, you can't go back and change the past, but it's never too late to begin again. To learn more about their life-changing program, visit beginagaininstitute.com or call 720-776-9076 to reserve your spot in the next 2-week intensive. I promise, it'll be the best call that you ever make for yourself. Stay strong, Keep fighting and keep tuning in to No Lions Here for more conversations about recovery, resilience, and hope.
Again, nothing that I need to like go back and make like major amends or amends or anything like that. Because I'm definitely well aware of that. And if something comes up that I need to, I will. But I think I'll be all right. So left work, went home, tried to take a nap. That was really difficult, but I did end up getting a nap. And then it was time to get up and go play hockey. And so I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm on the phone with Beanie. We're talking, and the clock hits. I told her, I want you to be on the phone with me when the clock strikes. Because the countdown at that point in time, I was like, and I wanted to, like, at 7:00, I wanted to break it. I was like, oh, come on, what's an hour and a half, 40 minutes? Let's break it. And it's like, no, I remember, there's chicken strips on the table. I just wanted to eat. So I ended up eating some Chobani Greek yogurt. It was their 20-gram serving, 20 grams of protein. So I ate one of those and then one of the regulars. I had a couple little mini beef sticks and some of those toasted raviolis because I took some of those and took those home with me so I could eat them cold. And they were so good. It was like I was eating in a 5-star restaurant. It was so good. And it was interesting too. Like I got pretty full during that. And it definitely like affected my play last night too. I noticed like I just was kind of lethargic in net last night. I didn't really wake up until like the second period, and by then it was kind of a little too late. But hey, it's all right. So I ate last night, and then I haven't eaten today, and what time is it right now? It's 9:36. I haven't eaten, I think. So somebody was asking me like, okay, why did you do this, right? And I kind of explained a little bit about the Kickstart. Somebody also too asked me like, while I was in it, like, do you feel like a euphoria or like a cleanse? And it was like, right when I was in it, people were like, is it spiritual? And it was like, I feel nothing spiritual about this. Ain't nothing spiritual about what's going on with me right now. I don't want to hear it, right? And that's kind of some of the grumpiness. But as I reflect, as I look back on it and I reflect, right? So I'm really glad that I did it. I'm so glad that I did it. In the grand scheme of things, it actually went by really fast. I was thinking about that last night while I was sitting there eating, and I was like, man, that went by like, wait, almost too fast. Like, maybe I should fast for longer. But, definitely like, I think it takes a lot of willpower, a lot of strength because, during this, like, would it have been easier to like shut myself away and not be around people or food? Like, absolutely. However, like, we can't do that, right? We got to live in this world. And that's definitely kind of how I view my recovery and my experiences is like, sure, man, like I could go out, I could get a dumb, a non-smartphone to where I wouldn't have access to the apps that are in my inner circle, right? Some of the material, the pornography, some of the apps that I've used. And I could just get a dumb phone and I could just kind of hold myself away and just stay away, right? But I've chosen to not go those routes, to show myself that like I can handle being in the world and dealing with the things that I need to deal with. And that this fast definitely kind of showed me the strength and what I'm capable of as far as like being surrounded. And I think that in my own recovery, I've kind of proven this to myself as well of like, now granted, I'm not putting myself, I'm not saying, all right, I'm going to go to the strip club, right? And I'm not going to touch anybody. And it's, I'm not saying that, right? That's extreme. However, to walk through the world kind of, knowing what I deal with it and kind of walking through the world and having these experiences is definitely, I have more strength than I give myself credit for. And that the work that I've done has really paid off for me in my own recovery, as far as what I'm capable of. And I think that in doing this water fast, it really highlighted what I am truly capable of deep down inside. And that was like, so like, that's really cool again, to like look back on this and reflect and like, in the moment, did I feel like it was super spiritual? Did I feel like it was cleansed? Like, absolutely not. No, I was just starving and grumpy. I was starving and grumpy. Absolutely. Like that's In the moment, yes, that's what I was, right? I wasn't thinking about my heart power or, anything else like that. It was just like, I'm fucking grumpy. Now, of course, there were some prayers, in there, but, man, as I look back on it, it's like, man, it was a cool experience. I'm not going to sit here and say that I won't ever do it again either. Like, no, 'cause I probably will do it again. I probably will. And again, it was a good test of like, man, it was just, I did something hard, you know, we, and to be able to do it with somebody that you're really close to again, right? Just the parallels around recovery here. I didn't see this in the moment, right? So now that I'm kind of removed and I got to eat last night and I got some good sleep last night and like, cool, I get to eat tonight and we're making birria tacos tonight. Because I'm going down to see Beanie and my Blackstone's down there and she's gonna be putting on some birria today. I need to text her and remind her. Sorry, give me 1 second. I got to text her and remind her to put a cup of water in. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, so just being able to prove to myself that, like, I could do it, and like again, right, if we're going to do something difficult, it's best to have a support system, right? So in recovery, fasting, working out, whatever it is, surround yourself with people that are going to support you through these things, right? There are people that have gone through these things. Again, an amazing, awesome parallel to recovery. And so I'm really glad that I did it. Again, I won't be doing it anytime soon. But I hope that this showed me that I could I was able to go 72 hours without eating. Cool. So now I'm gonna try to get into kind of like an intermittent fasting because there's some weight that I want to lose, and I'm looking at like, okay, like next summer I've got a goal weight that I'd like to be at. So I definitely want to I want to try to get down to, I'm 230 right now. I'd like to get down to about 200, 205 and see that's where I'd like to be like next summer. By the beginning of next summer, I'd like to be 205, 200, 205, somewhere around there. So, that's kind of my goal. So, all right, I'm going to work on it throughout the winter and the spring, the fall, the winter, the spring. The weather's been getting a little bit cooler here, so that feels good. I've been getting outside, getting my walks and my runs in outside now, which I actually really enjoy. I look forward to doing those. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, and it was cool to reflect on back on this now. Was like, man, I did that, and I hope that at some point in time today you can sit with yourself and look back at, where you began on this journey versus where you are today, even if it is a month, even if it is a week, right? Like, hey, you're different now than you were when you started this. You're different now, right? Look at what you've been able to go through, right? Even if it is messy, right? Like sometimes we put too much too much cayenne in the water. So, I hope that you can give yourself that credit, coming from somebody who's not great at giving myself credit. And acknowledging the things that I actually do that are actually like really great, good stuff. I hope that you can again sit with yourself and look back and look at what you've accomplished up until this point. Because if you're listening to this, the majority of my listeners are in recovery, and like I hope that you can sit with yourself and tell yourself, hey, look at what you're doing. Right. And try to find that grace and compassion for yourself around like, hey, look what I'm doing. You're doing really good stuff, and it's heavy and it's hard. And the path is littered with rocks and things that were there to trip us up. And, just keep going and surround yourself with the people that have been on these paths before, and, lean on them when you need to. Let them know, if you woke up this morning and you don't know if you're going to make it through the day, text somebody and let them know. Call somebody and just let somebody know. Let them in. Hey, I'm not doing well. I don't know if I'm going to make it today. And see what that support does for you. Hopefully that support gives you some kind of spark to make it through the rest of your day. Man, yeah, it's cool to reflect on it now. It really is. It really is. That's good stuff. Really good stuff. So, kind of like the other thing, kind of switching gears a little bit. So the other thing that I'm looking at right now is, a commute, a commute into work. Man, you know what? Actually, like there's something inside of me that is saying, "Hey, man, like let's just end this here." On that. Yeah, because I really like the message around. I really like the message around this topic, right? The topic of, hey, whatever you're going through, somebody else has gone through it before, and to sit with yourself and give yourself the credit for where you're at today, right? Like we all woke up this morning. There's some people out there that didn't wake up this morning. And, I don't care if today's a fresh 24 and, you weren't sober yesterday and now you're sober today. Like, good job, or if you've continued to gain sobriety in whatever program you're working, you know, and or maybe you're just in a lull, and maybe you're just not feeling it today. Because guys, I've been there so many times in my own recovery. I've been there, right, where I don't want to push forward. I don't want to keep going. I just want to roll over. There's definitely been some thoughts there for me, which are totally brought on by fear. Because again, I kind of alluded to it, right? I'm looking at kind of commuting, and there's just fear there, and then the kind of the some of the rough waters in the relationship this last week, because it's really only been about a week that we've been kind of, things have been just a little off. The rough waters there, it's got me it's got me scared. It's got me scared. There's at one point in time, when we were having a conversation, about something, and we ended the conversation in a stalemate of like, okay, well, neither one of us seems to be budging. We both kind of have our own perspectives here, and neither one of us is like really giving, which, that's going to happen. Okay, this is something we can take to therapy. However, like in the moment, like that really left a divide for us. And for me, it was very uncomfortable, and I was really afraid because I'm a fixer. I think a lot of guys are. I'm a fixer. I think a lot of people are in general, right? I'm a fixer. So, like in that moment, right? What I saw in that situation, right? When we're sitting at the dinner table and we're talking, it was it was actually a really civil conversation, and like it was a good conversation. We just ended in a stalemate to where she was kind of holding her side, I was kind of holding my side, and you know, and so like, and what scared me in that was like, typically when her and I go through something, it's really, we were able to kind of talk through it and kind of repair. And I didn't see that in this conversation. Now, again, not every conversation is going to end in repair. It's not. Some of this stuff takes time. So I was really uncomfortable, really scared, because the fixer came out, and me and the fixer said, hey man, you guys just ended in a stalemate. We've never really ended in a stalemate before. Usually maybe there's not a solution or hey, we fix this, but there's actually a better understanding from both sides of like, okay, hey, this is where we're at. Okay, there's no real solution, but okay, hey, we've talked through it. We both feel heard and seen, and okay, well, now we're good, right? So there really wasn't that in this conversation. Again, it didn't end bad. However, it didn't end with a solution. And so the fixer inside of me then went and got the critic. And the critic's going, yeah, man, I don't know what the fix is here, which means there is no fix. And we're not gonna be able to work through this one. So that was the story that I was telling myself in my head, right? With these parts of me, right? The fixer was coming out, looking at things, measuring things, going, I don't see a fix here. And the critic then comes in and goes, man, you're kind of right, actually. We don't see a fix here. And so then they go and get, the firefighter wanting to burn everything down, and then, which, I didn't give that part. That part didn't get too much time. But then, the younger version of myself comes in, man, and I'm hurting and I'm scared and I want to escape. And, well, this is the end. Well, I don't want to feel the hurt. And again, that was, it wasn't the end. It took me a few days, but it kind of was like, all right, like, hey, do I have faith that no matter what in this relationship, we're going to get through it? And the answer to that question is yes, I do have faith. I do believe in this relationship. I believe that whatever we come up against, because we've bumped up against things and we've been able to work through it, right? So, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we're going to be okay. It took me a few days to get to that perspective. just being able to sit back and say, okay, we're going to be okay. But that perspective really does help me in not get too into the weeds on things as far as like, when is this going to get fixed? And I knew I needed to be fixed right now. It's more just kind of like, okay, all right, put a pin in it. We'll come back to it. I know I'm not going to run out and, throw things away just because in that moment, a part of me didn't feel like there was a fix to this. So yeah, seeing it, but that definitely kind of spurs some urges, some ideas, some thoughts of some old behaviors. Totally. Right. And then there's fear involved. Absolutely, man. So, but I got to look at, today with where I'm at, I got to look at like, okay, you know what, we will make it through this. No matter how hard it seems in the moment. Again, no matter how bad the suck is in the moment, sometimes all we got to do is reach our hand out, ask for some help, and just continue to push through. On that note, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to end this. Man, thank you all so much for just joining me on my journey. It means a lot to me. I've gotten a couple really great, awesome emails as of lately, and that feels really good. Oh, side note, I am 37 days, no nicotine. 37 days, no nicotine. Let's go. Again, right? Just kind of proving to myself that I can do some things that I did not think that I was possible of doing. I did not think that I was going to ever be able to stop chewing tobacco and to go this long. But yeah, 30 days. Don't get me wrong. I still want to chew, especially when times get rough. But you know what? I'm able to abstain, and so that feels really good. So 37 days. So I've gotten some really great emails recently, and that's lifted me up a whole lot. So thank you all for reaching out and letting me know, like, that hey, that there's you can relate to what I'm dealing with. So thank you so much for that, everybody. It means a lot to me. So on that note, definitely go over to the YouTube channel and like and subscribe. Definitely go follow on Spotify. If you want to connect, nolionshere@gmail.com. Again, that's nolionshere@gmail.com. If there's any topics that you want to discuss, definitely please feel free to let me know. And again, thank you guys so much for joining me on my journey. It really does mean a lot to me. Also, too, coaching business. Hey, I'm open. I'm taking on clients. I'm taking on male clients, only male clients at this point in time. So definitely reach out. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. And I'd love to connect and see if we'd be a fit. So thank you again so much for joining me on my journey. I really appreciate it. It means so much to me. It means so much to me to be able to come in and have this platform and continue to put things out on this platform. And I will continue to put things out on the platform. So thank you all so much. And as always, it works if you work it, and you're worth it. We'll see you guys next time. Keep coming back. Keep coming back. Hold on. Let me do that again. I knew I was missing something there. As always, guys, keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you're worth it. I'll see you guys next time.